So as you know, little recap, we've been talking about love, really, truthfully. Soulmates, life partners, divine purpose, divine path, twin flames, soulmates. And whether you are trying to find the love of your life, or whether you're trying to get that job that you want, or whether you're trying to fight for a cause that you believe in, I would suggest, coming from my own experience, that it's the inner work that's going to make the difference. As you begin to reflect on the inside of who you are and what makes you who you are, it gives you a certain level of awareness as you go forward in any of those areas. So again, and I've said this many times, how can you love me if I'm not presenting my true self to you? How can I love me if I'm not being my true self? Now, I know many of you are asking right now, but I don't even know who I am. And that's okay, because it's really simple on who you are. You're a human being. You're a verb, you're not a noun. You're in a constant state of action. You are moving forward every day. And it's not about forgetting the past. It's not about not learning from the past. It's not about always being so present that everything around you is not going to be reminded of the past at some point, or where you're going to set goals and you're just going to be oblivious to future ideas. It's not about that. It's about becoming aware of who you are, what you are, your needs, your desires, what drives you, what makes you feel passionate. And look at it like this too. So if you're in a job and you hate your job, right? Did you ever stop and think, maybe it's not that I hate my job as much as I just am not fulfilling that drive inside of myself. So if you begin to fulfill the drive inside of yourself, if you begin to look deeper inside of you and you say, okay, well, I'm an artist and I'm working in a sales job and I hate it. Well, what if you start to do your sales job in the day and you start to do your art at night until your art takes off, instead of sabotaging yourself and feeling dislocated and building up all this aggression and all this anger? Because all the aggression and all the anger, it's a culmination of your past coming forward and preventing you from really doing the things that you could do right now. A friend of mine asked a question, and I feel that it's very pertinent to this topic. It's very pertinent to the ascension. And this ascension that we're having is dynamic, it's destructive, it is one of those things that it comes through and it changes so many things. It dislocates so many things. It puts a state of motion in so many areas that you feel anxiety, you feel stressed. And I'm going to go over that in the podcast, but I just wanted to give you a video before to connect and give you my thoughts, because I felt it was really important, because this conversation triggered something in me. So the conversation was in relation to kind of championing a cause. If you want to save animals, or if why aren't people saving animals? How can people be so cruel? Or whether it's in the environment, saving trees, or being more conscientious with the environment. So if we think about this, so many people are stuck in their mind. They're stuck in a state of madness. They're stuck in a state of confusion because they're comfortable, but they're not creating like they should. So they don't move very fast. And when you come to them and you say, hey, we need to save the environment, you actually overcharge their situation. Then they get anxious and angry and they feel guilty. So then they ignore it completely. So the idea is to get into a place of compassion, to save the environment, to save anything. We have to begin to see ourselves, work on us first and foremost. Like the plane, when you're sitting in there and they tell you, put the mask on you first and then the person next to you. So work on yourself first. If you do the work, it will all work out. And for all of my twin flame followers and soulmate seekers, you can't expect that relationship to work if you're not working on you, right? So if you're believing, why isn't this person doing this? Why is this person not treating me this way? How could they delete me? How could they ignore me? How could they run? Or how could they choose someone else over me? Are you working on yourself? Are you presenting a complete person? Because when you do the work, when you discover these new areas of yourself, you may look back with hindsight and be like, what was I thinking? I got this something that's even better. You never know. So you can't put a label on things. When you put a label on something, you put limitations. And those boundaries turn into barriers and you get stuck. So to reach and to save the world, to save the environment, to champion a cause, we have to begin to help people. We have to begin to instruct people, to give them more strength. We have to give them the ability to see the value in themselves, because if someone is not eating properly, if someone's not taking care of this vessel, this beautiful, miraculous, bona fide body that just carries you around, that is like this is your Rolls Royce. And if they're not looking at that, how are they going to look at the environment to make a difference? What's going to make them feel a conscientious shift in order to save elephants in Africa when they're not even saving themselves? So we need to do a grassroots movement. We need to get together. We need to sit down. We need to stop this two-dimensional thing as our main focus. We need to get into the 3D, because only by going into the 3D, hands-on, shaking hands, hugging, sitting, listening, grassroots, are we going to get a foundation to rise into the fourth dimension on a whole. We're here to save the planet. The source is sending us everything that we need. Everything that we could ever ask for is already given to us. We've never been disconnected. But even when we come from a place of judgment, even when we come from a place of irritation with someone, are we irritated with them, or is it ourself? Is it something that they remind us of inside of us? We have to begin to look at life this way. We have to become so intuitive. Instinct has served us well for thousands of years. And it serves you well in a situation where instinct is necessary. But we're a more advanced being. We have potential. We have the potential to destroy ourselves. We have the potential to restore everything and to make it even better. I vote for the positive. I vote for pushing forward. I vote for a grassroots community movement, even here. Where you're at right now, start working on you, and then get a friend and help work on them. Then you've got two. If everybody that watches this works on themselves and then works on 10 people, then there's 50,000 people. Then 50,000 people do the same thing. Then you've got 500,000 people. And I know it seems like a hard task, but the only way to do it is to start from the bottom and build sound and secure and steady, focusing on a solution, not scarcity, not worried about our security, not worried about, well, they have this and I don't have that, or how can I get this? There's a story in South Africa. There's a phrase, and I've said it before, it's called Ubuntu. So when somebody does something wrong, they pull them out into the center of the village. Everybody in the village gathers around them. And they look at the person, and this person's feeling shamed. I mean, they're feeling really bad. And they start saying what they love about that person and why they're going to be there for that person and how they're going to love that person. And then they come in and every person either shakes their hand or hugs that person that did something wrong. Now, there's limitations to that, I'm assuming, but they still let that person know that they're loved, and whatever they did, love will always be there. Yes, maybe they did a crime. Yes, maybe they have to go to jail. But love will still be there. Just because you did something wrong, just because you messed up, it doesn't mean that you're disconnected from source. It doesn't mean that there's not goodness inside of you. If you're afraid to show it, that's a fear of expectation. What are people going to think of me? Well, what matters is what you think of yourself, first and foremost. Because when you do what you love, it's a different kind of story. So start figuring out what's inside of you. Start figuring out your song. Remember, be impeccable with your word, especially to yourself. Don't make excuses. Don't set expectations. And always, always do your best. Peace, light, and love. You know what? I think I'm just going to make this a standalone video. I'll post the other one coming up, Ascension Symptoms. So look out for that. Peace, light, and love. I will see you on the other side. You got to be flexible.